My mom had done some research a while back, a couple years back, that led her to understand that our ancestors arrived to, some of our ancestors arrived to America on the Mayflower. They were pilgrims. And I had asked her years ago to send me a copy of this information. Apparently it's quite common now for people in America to be related to the Pilgrims. It's not so common for people to be related to 11 different lines of Pilgrims, which is the reality with my family. That through my mother, the descent branches out to 11 different families that are all related to the Pilgrims. And I had been, in recent weeks, communicating with my sister, asking her to send me, asking her to acquire from my mother this information about our Pilgrim family lines, and to scan and then to send me this genealogical research that my mom had done. And I don't know, my sister, she failed. She never sent it to me, but apparently she communicated to my mother that I was interested in this again, because I had told her some years ago that I wanted to see this stuff. And finally, my mom, she sent me this information to tell me what these 11 Pilgrim families, who all these people were that intermarried, that resulted in my existence. And this is what my mom sent me. Some of you Mayflower lines are William Brewster, James Chilton, Francis Cook, Edward Doty, Stephen Hopkins, John Howland, Joan Hurst, George Sewell, John Tilley, Richard Warren. These are the Pilgrims you are related to. And I started doing research on all these people, figure out who they were, to history, and in the course of researching these people, I came across this information that made claim that Richard Warren, the last of the Pilgrims that my mom lists here as being one of the Pilgrims that I am related to. There's some information out here on the internet. I found this document on the internet which makes claim that Richard Warren is related to very many monarchs. That he is direct descendant back to the days of Jesus, that he is the direct descendant of the Roman emperor of that age, who also in his direct his direct line of ancestry is Constantine, who made Christianity respected within the Roman Empire. That prior to that, the Christians, they were persecuted by the Roman Empire. Supposedly, there's it's like the Rothschilds funding both sides of every war. The same thing was going on with the Romans, that they would pretend that they were fighting with whatever leaders of the other side, but in reality, they were all in bed together. The leadership. It goes back to this guy, who he's said to be, this is Herod Agrippa. Agrippa Herod, and or King Herod. I got this image out of a article that said King Herod's ancient tomb found, but apparently this is a strong likeness to Herod. That seems to be a very accurate representation of Herod. And in an article that I found that described Herod, it was saying that he was mixed blood, that in Jerusalem amongst the Jews, they were saying that he was not full-blood Jew, that he was, mixed with, apparently whatever conquerors, whatever people, the Romans had conquered them before. I found this other really interesting picture that I think these two guys, they look alike. This is from years and years earlier, like 600 years or so before Herod. This guy existed, Zoroaster. And Zoroastrianism is a religion. Understanding the extent to which the emperors and the kings interbred, that they sought to maintain their bloodline as exclusive, to exclude the commoners. It makes sense to me that there be this descent from Zoroaster to Agrippa to and this is where the Roman hierarchy, which was an empire, headed by an emperor, where it arrives to relation to Jesus, and it's through this guy, Herod. I'm going to show you this picture first. I was doing some research recently, which I have to bring up this picture. I think you'll probably be able to see that this guy's face, he looks a lot like Herod Agrippa. The research that I was doing recently, I just came to this understanding the other day, is that there's some purport that Jesus escaped his cross death, that he didn't really die on the cross, and that he moved to France, where he came into control of some land, and he was then known as Bran, B-R-A-N, Bran, or there's like some other Bran the Blessed, that's what it was. And then he gave birth to this guy, who is Caractacus, or Caraticus. And I think you can see the family resemblance there. Wait until you see this picture of Bran the Blessed. That he seems also related. This is another guy. This is an even later descendant of Bran the Blessed, and this guy was a British king. So he went from like relation to the Romans, to rule in France, to his ancestors. This guy is Caradog Frakefras of Britain. He was a British monarch. And where is the statue of Bran the Blessed? Here it is. And I think you can see that this guy seems to be related to Herod Agrippa. You know, they show him like no arms, riding a horse. This is it's called the Statue of the Two Kings, but this is supposed to be Bran the Blessed, Jesus. And let's take one more look at Herod Agrippa. Herod Agrippa. Bran the Blessed. I think you can see that, you know, there's a strong probability that these people were related, just by their appearance. The father of Jesus was God, the Roman Emperor. According to some scholars that have studied this, they studied this era of history, and they like the Talmud, which is like this ancient Jewish writing. In the Talmud they were recording that Jesus was the descendant of Herod's granddaughter, or the son of Herod's granddaughter, and a Roman soldier named Tiberius Abdes ben Pantera. Let me show you where Tiberius yields from. You know, why are the Roman emperors named Tiberius? And this is it. It's the Tiber River, which runs through Rome. So to say Tiberius, to say of the water of Rome, you know, the river that runs through Rome. Tiberius Abdes. Abdes is to say servant of Isis, which is Isis being ancient Egyptian god, and a god that was also worshipped by the Greeks. I'm going to give you a couple of descriptions of Jesus now. Okay, this is from Tiberius Caesar's President to Judea. The following is written by Publius, or it was given to Tiberius Caesar by Publius Lentulus, Tiberius Caesar's president to Judea. There is a man in Judea who I am amazed to have witnessed, and who will now describe to you. He is a man of singular virtue, whose name is Jesus Christ, whom the barbarians esteem as a prophet, but his followers love and adore him as the offspring of the immortal God. He calls back the dead from their graves and heals all sorts of diseases with a word or a touch. He is a tall man, well-shaped, of an amiable and reverential aspect. His hair is of a color that can hardly be matched. It falls into graceful curls, waving about and very agreeably couched about his shoulders. It is parted on the crown of his head, running as a stream to the front after the fashion of the Nazarites. His forehead is high, large, and imposing. His cheeks are without spot or wrinkle. His face is most beautiful with a lovely red. His nose and mouth formed with exquisite symmetry. His beard is of a color suitable to his hair, reaching from his chin and parted in the middle like a fork. His eyes are bright and blue. They are clear and innocent, dignified, manly, and mature. Oftentimes, however, just before he reveals his divine powers, his eyelids are gently closed in reverential silence. In proportion of body, it is most perfect and amazing to view. Yeah, interesting. So the guy makes a big deal of his hair color being, unusual, and he's saying that his hair color is very beautiful. Um, Notice in these other two that I'm going to read, these are all officials of the Roman Empire, and they're all like boosting up Jesus, saying that Jesus is he's a nice guy, and he's very this one actually says that he's stern, he's strict. Upon Jesus Christ, whose case I had clearly, look at this, even the Pontius Pilate, writing to Tiberius, the Roman emperor, is saying that Jesus was Christ, whose case I had clearly set forth to you in my last, at length, by the will of the people, a bitter punishment has been inflicted, myself being in a sort unwilling and rather afraid, a man by Hercules. This is the description of Jesus, saying that he is of Hercules, that he is Herculean, which is to say he's very big and muscular. Now, how do you get big and muscular? It's by like robust nutrition. That obviously Jesus, he grew up in a family where they were shoveling food down his throat. Which is that's not the commoner experience. Commoners, they don't have the capacity, the financial pull to eat so much food to get Herculean. Anyhow, so pious and strict, no age has had or nor will have, but wonderful were the efforts of the people themselves in the unanimity of the scribes and chief men and elders to crucify the ambassador of truth. Aren't these these Romans, they're really holding up Jesus as being, so wonderful and so great, and they were in charge of the area. Why would they kill him, if they thought he was so wonderful and so great? The death that they said that he suffered hanging on a cross, they said that he was taken down within 9 days, or within 9 hours. That's in the Bible. To die on a cross requires 3 days, and how a person dies by hanging on a cross is that the water that's in their limbic system, the water that like flows into the arms by under the pump of the heartbeat, the blood plasma, that it drains through the limbic system, being filtered to like a purer water, and then it winds up in the lung, that the person actually drown, or they drown on their own body fluids. Now with Jesus, it's said that he cried out right before they took him down, and so it's not possible that he died of drowning on his own body fluids. It's not a possibility for him to cry out just before they take him down, that he would have been suffered the death of a cross hanging by drowning. Now they say that the guys that were on the crosses beside him, they smashed their legs, which would cause them to go into shock, to make them appear also dead, and make them appear unconscious. By this deception, by smashing their legs broken, they then were able to take them all down off the cross at the same time, to make it seem like it was it was real that Jesus had died on the cross. But if they hadn't smashed those guys' legs, then they would have been awake and alive to be taken down, and then it would have been, or that they couldn't really be taken down. They haven't been sentenced to death, so they would have been up there for 2.5 more days, and people would have been like, how come they're still alive and they took Jesus down 3 days ago? So the cross hanging wasn't obvious false death. It was a faked death, yeah, and it was apparently to submerse whatever people it was that cheered for Jesus' death, because the powerful of the area, they were threatened by Jesus, and they didn't like the look of Jesus, because this is the next one I'm going to read here is there is a letter. There's a letter which says Jesus, if I can find it. I don't know what I did with it, so I'm going to have to look for it again. Pilate to Tiberius. Blonde. Jesus' physical appearance. Historical document, the physical appearance of Jesus. This is a reprint of a letter from Pontius Pilate to Tiberius Caesar describing the physical appearance of Jesus. Copies are in the Congressional Library in Washington. In another place that I've read this, it says that the original of this letter is stored in Rome, in the Roman archive. This is what this says. A young man appeared in Galilee, preaching the humble unction, a new law in the name of the God that had sent him. Humble unction, that you must bow in worship, these or at least pay your taxes to Rome, and that's the word from Jesus. They ask him, should we pay taxes to Rome? And Jesus says, give unto Caesar what's Caesar's. To say, these gold coins with Caesar's, with his image on them. If he's saying that you got to give them to him for whatever taxes, that's what you got to do. At first, I was apprehensive that his design was to stir up the people against the Romans, but my fears were soon dispelled. To say, Jesus, he was not trying to stir up the people against the Romans. That Pontius Pilate, he was set at ease by Jesus's teachings. That he approved of his teachings because he wasn't trying to stir up the people against the Romans. Jesus of Nazareth spoke rather as a friend of the Romans than of the Jews. One day I observed in the midst of a group of people a young man who was leaning against a tree, calmly addressing the multitude. I was told that it was Jesus. This I could easily have suspected, so great was the difference between him and those who were listening to him. His golden-colored hair and beard gave to his appearance a celestial aspect. So there it is, right there. Golden-colored hair. They're saying that Jesus had golden hair, which is, let me go back to this picture. British monarch, descendant of Bran the Blessed, aka Jesus, with golden hair and a golden beard. Yeah, so the rabbit hole goes deeper. They say that in order for a baby to be blonde, that the both of the parents have to have blonde ancestry. They both have to have blonde genes, blonde genetics, and for Jesus to be descendant of Tiberius Caesar, which I'll get into that a bit more in a minute, but for him to be descendant of Tiberius Caesar and Herod Agrippa through Herod's granddaughter, Miriam or Mary, that Herod Agrippa would have to have had blonde ancestry, and Semitic people, they're not blonde. Blonde people are way back when India was the cradle of civilization, where this society first formed. They were called Aryans. But apparently, they have since flowed out from the area of India, and taken up prominence in Britain, Ireland, Belgium, North and East Europe. Right, this is this is how Tiberius Julius, there's no J in Latin. The J is an invention of English, and it came years after Julius was being called Julius, and this is how they used to spell it. Tiberius Julius Abdes Pantera. He was said to be a Roman archer, and he was a Roman archer that was now Mark Antony Tiberius, Mark Antony, Emperor of Rome, who was otherwise known as Tiberius. He was deployed to Jerusalem both in the years before Jesus was born and in the years after Jesus was born. And the Talmud records that that Mary was an adulteress, that she had had a son with a certain man that they called Pantera, who was said to be a Roman archer, and let me think about how they said this. Ben Pantera, to say son of Pantera, that that's how people of the area were calling Jesus when he was young, and basically they were making fun of him for being a son, an illegitimate son of the occupation army. That the occupiers, the Romans, they had invaded Jerusalem, they dominated them, and then one of their soldiers had a baby with one of the local girls, who happened to be the granddaughter of Herod, Mary or Miriam. And this is, don't they always do this? They always, take the heads off of the statues and whatnot. Hypertenor. Okay, it's on this one. Tiberius something. Tiberius Abdes Pantera. That's what that says right there. The top line, and this is. It was made much later in history, but it was a grave marker for a tomb that they recorded, long after this guy Tiberius Pantera had died. They recorded his being a German soldier who had been deployed to Jerusalem and an archer who had been deployed to Jerusalem in the days of Jesus, around the time of Jesus' birth. So Yeah, it seems quite obvious to me, that all that is verified. That that Herod was Jesus's great grandfather, and that Jesus's father. I have to load another picture here. Jesus's father was this guy, who is Tiberius, Mark Anthony Tiberius. And I did a comparison of Mark Anthony Tiberius to my face, just for the fact that I had found that Mark Anthony Tiberius was he's in the direct ancestry of Richard Warren, who is my Pilgrim ancestor. So, 2,000 plus years ago, this guy is like my great, however many years or how many generations back, grandfather. And he is the father of illegitimate Jesus. Apparently he didn't marry Herod's granddaughter, Mary, but he knocked her up, and she then spent some years dating. I don't know. She like married Joseph. Eventually, she wound up in hooked up with John the Apostle, and I think there's a bunch of other. This is me and Constantine. That's another vision or version of Constantine. That's Constantine also. Another Constantine. 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 This is Karl Martel, who further research that I've done on Richard Warren says that he is also a descendant of Karl Martel, he was a Germanic king. This is Ulysses Grant, and Ulysses Grant is a descendant of Richard Warren. Constantine. See, that's unrelated. I don't know. I figure this guy is somewhere in my ancestry because he's got a nose similar to mine, but I didn't figure out who he is as yet. Okay, this is Caligula, who I'll get into this in a moment, but apparently all of these Roman emperors, they're all in some way related. Claudius, Nero. Actually, I think that when I was younger, my face looked a lot like his. He looks a lot like my brother too. That's Tiberius. And we're back to Mark Anthony. But so Mark Anthony, he had a daughter with his wife, the woman that he married, and that's the marriage from which I'm a direct ancestor. Mark Anthony's marriage with his legitimate daughter. And apparently Jesus is he would have been like a half brother to my great grandmother, the daughter of Mark Anthony. Yeah. All right. So let's go to let's go to this. There's oh man, I can't remember how I got here. Actually, you know what? Let's I guess I'll do a search here for blonde. How about blonde Caesars? Well, that didn't bring it up. Okay, maybe it's up here. Well, I guess I'll go to this first. This guy hosts this website, Distinguished World Citizens, and he has done this research, which let's see, Daniel and Leilu. That's these guys, Daniel and Leilu, and he did research to find out who their great grandfathers were, going back through all of like the Caesars and kings, yeah, the rulers of ancient times. Here's Herod Agrippa, second cousin, 63 times removed. Julius Agrippa, second cousin, 63 times. Julius Caesar, 66th great granduncle. Karl Martel, 34th great grandfather. He's got even more extensive documentation that this is just one page of I don't even know how many pages, but emperors, Russian royalty, Swedish royalty, Norwegian royalty, Irish and Irish royalty, and yeah, he has documented all of the ancestry. This guy is apparently related to the Swedish line directly. Great-grandfather. Kings of Sweden. And let's see how many other of these lines. Yeah, in Russia he's related directly to the Russian royals. Apparently he's got some cousins in there also. Let's see, Frankenbergen royalty, great grandfathers. So yeah, he's apparently the say great grandfather, and to not say cousin is to say that these people, they are in his direct ancestry, and so apparently very many different nationalities of his ancestors have now interbred in more recent times. This guy. Daniel Goltz. Yeah, Goldt. Interesting stuff there, to see that, this guy, he did all the research to tie all these people together, figure out who all was who. And, I'll include as many of these links as I can, but, I'm still, like, working on the list, and, these are the various sites that I have found so far that have information on all this stuff. So I don't even know if, like, the limited space that they give me on the video info is going to allow me to to include all this documentation. This is an interesting part of this, is that let me see. Wikipedia claims that 150 million Americans are all descendants of ancient kings. That apparently very many of the colonists were descendants of ancient kings, and so, like, the at this point, if, like, every generation that passes, it would have to be like a higher and higher percentage who are descendant from ancient kings. That like, on the off chance that anybody is not descendant from ancient king, then there's a high probability that they're going to marry somebody who is descendant of an ancient king, and that they're going to produce offspring who are then descendants of the ancient kings. This isn't just true of, like, European royalty either. It's true of just the kings in general, the monarchs, the dictators. Even, like, Attila the Hun has millions of descendants. Who's another one? Ancient king. Qin, the first Chinese emperor. He had thousands of concubines. He was ridiculously grandfathered up, that he produced so very many offspring. Trying to find this this Wikipedia article. I guess I will do a search for royal ancestry in my browser history. There we go. Wikipedia royal descent. And on this page, I'll do a search for 150. There it is. However, with improved documenting schemes, it can be estimated that as many as 150 million Americans have traceable royal European descent, according to American genealogist Gary Boyd Roberts. 150 million Americans, that would mean, like, the next generation, that all 300 million Americans would have ancestry traced to royal descent. Which is that's pretty much the reality of humanity, earthly humanity now, is that we are all descendant from the tyrants of yesteryear. Yeah, I'm gonna scroll or scan through this. Scan through these links, see if there's anything that that I didn't cover that I was trying to cover. Oh yeah, as far as there's some people that they contend that Jesus and Lucifer are the very same entity. I concur with this, but only so far, and as in the fact of what Lucifer is not to mean like Satan. It's not to mean a satanic. It's not to mean like a satanic entity. It's not to be like the how the myth of Lucifer originates is. Venus, the morning star, it arrives on the horizon and it begins to descend, and that's when the sun comes up. And so Lucifer is to say the light bringer, and it's Latin, and there's actually no term Lucifer in Hebrew, and in Hebrew the term is Hallel, which it means shining or brilliant one. And how they would these Roman royals who were that was another one that I was trying to find. These Roman royals who were hugely blonde, that they were mostly blonde. To say light hair, would be to say to say Lucifer would be to say of a light of a light character, or light haired. Basically, it's another word for saying Aryan. And the accomplishments of these people who who were of this bloodline, these ancient royal ancestors, they a lot of them, they were very demonic, that they were not nice people, and the ones who were the worst of them, I've done some documentation to say that, like, Thomas Jefferson, he died of like dysentery on the 4th of July. There was another former president who died of dysentery. If you look back into his history, he was talking about doing genocide on the natives, saying that once we start slaughtering a tribe, then we just got to keep slaughtering them until they're all gone. And that became Native American reality. And it's the natives. What were they doing? They're just trying to survive off the land. They're trying to live their lives and have they're trying to bring up families or whatnot. So to be actively involved in slaughtering people that are just trying to go about their lives, it's obviously it's not cool. It's not good. It's evil. It's demonic, and it leads to stuff like this. That What is Herod's evil? In the book 1, Claudius, Herod succumbed to a disease that had symptoms described as putrescent stomach, corpse-like breath, maggots breeding in the privy member. That's to say, maggots in his dick. and a constant watery flow from the bowels causing inflamed madness. Is this disease confined to the Herods, or shall I live in fear that I'll catch it? So in my estimation, that's what happens to the worst of these emperors and kings. That that if they do stuff like they order the slaughter of all the male babies of a generation, so that their grandchild will have access to as many women as he might make him tempted to toward empire. And that's what it is when they do this, where they massively destroy boys of whatever generation. It's recorded in the Bible a few times, but when they do that, what they're doing is they are causing an imbalance, which will deliver some person to great temptation. That they're gonna then use that person's life to do even worse bad stuff. And how it became with Jesus, brand the blessed. What? Let me go to Acts 1. I'll just I'll skip looking it up. Acts 1, I think it's verse 7 or something, goes something like this. With the wages of his iniquity, Judas bought a field. There he fell headlong. His body burst open at the seams, and his intestines spilled out. Because of the way in which Judas died, the field came to be known as Akeldama, which means the field of blood. Now, there's other places in the Bible where it's claimed Judas just hung himself. He felt so guilty about having killed Jesus that he just went and hung himself. There's other places in the Bible where it's recorded that Judas was angry at the people who gave him chump change to turn Jesus in, that they had every intention of killing Jesus. And Judas, he goes into the office, the government office of the people who had given him this money to turn Jesus in, and he throws the money into the office, and he says, you guys put blood on my hands. That he's pissed off about how he got set up. And they claim that he took this money that he got, and he went and he bought a field, and that his stomach exploded in that field. Somehow his body burst open at the seams. His intestines spilled out on the ground in front of him. That's according to Acts 1, the book of the Bible. I don't know. So it seems that the hanging death of Judas is bogus. That what really happened to Judas was that after he turned Jesus, the king of the area, in, that the Jewish people, or the Jewish hierarchy, the government, tried to set Jesus up to die. But Jesus was saved by the fact that he was the rightful ruler of the area, at least according to the ancestry, that he was the descendant of Herod. He was the descendant of the Caesars. And I'm gonna have to look up Luke. Jesus asked for sword. This happened in a short time frame in comparison to when Judas was found in this field disemboweled, that he had Judas had been killed by sword. Jesus, this is a quote from the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible, Luke 22:36. Jesus said to the disciples, "But now the one who has a purse must take it." So if you got a bag of money, you got to take it. Likewise, a bag, and the one who has no sword must sell his cloak and buy one. So this was Jesus instructing the disciples to acquire for him a sword, and this was right before Judas was then found stabbed to death, disemboweled in a field that came to be known as the Field of Blood because of how bloody he died. And it doesn't say right here in this this version of this a brief explanation of the sword in Luke 22:36, but the response of Luke to this is he says, "We have two swords right here." So those are apparently the swords that were used to assault and to stab to death Judas, were the swords that Jesus asked Luke to acquire that Luke said he already had. Yeah, so I don't know, this whole thing about Jesus coming back to Jerusalem. He had apparently been traveling in India, and he had been to a monastery there, what's called Hemisgampa. They have record of Jesus having stayed at that monastery in Hemisgampa, and that eventually he started preaching to the locals, and the monks of the monastery, they didn't appreciate his teaching the locals what it was that went on at the monastery, what the monks were trained in, and so they kicked him out. They sent him out, and that was apparently when he showed back up in Jerusalem. And then eventually he was over in he was up in France, and I don't know, what solidifies all this is that after his fake death, the apostles, this is also in the book of Acts, I'm not sure where exactly it is in there, but they begin to ask the resurrected Jesus what it is, or whether it is that the dominion of Jerusalem had been restored to the Jews. They presumed Jesus was a Jew, even though he was really more closely associated with the emperors. He was an agent of the empire, and they I don't know. So they're asking him, has it been restored? The rule of Jerusalem, has it been restored to the Jews? And Jesus tells them that it's not their business to be worrying about who's ruling Jerusalem, and he tells them basically that they better stop asking him about this, and then he starts assigning them to go to these various other nations, which were mostly in the Roman Empire. He was giving them orders to go to these other nations, where eventually all of them were killed. All of the apostles were killed by governments where Jesus had sent them to preach. Except for John. The Apostle John, he was shacked up with Jesus's mom in her late years. And let me show you the extent of the Roman Empire in the year 69 AD. Okay, Yeah, I'm gonna take this off. Maybe we'll get some better color here. Yeah. Okay, so that's in Rome. That's part of Rome. The boot is in Rome, and I don't know. Rome was like the south of, or just south of Jerusalem. I don't know, it was the north coast of Africa. It was over here in France, and let's see. Let me show you the House of the Virgin Mary. Let's see. House was discovered in the 19th century by the following descriptions. Yeah, oh, craziness. Anne Catherine Emmerich, you know, she's a 19th century nun, and she said she had a vision of where Mary's house was. It turns out that in Turkey, they had for years and years been celebrating yeah, I'm gonna have to go, or discovery in Turkey. They had been celebrating this house as the doorway to the Virgin, right there, doorway to the Virgin. Let me read that. See, Abby Guyet's discovery was taken seriously by most people, but 10 years later, urged by Sister Marie Mandat Grisi, two Lazarus missionaries, Father Poulin and Father Jung, from Smyrna, rediscovered the building on July 29th, 1891, using the same source for a guide. They learned that the four-walled, roofless ruin had been venerated for a long time by the members of a distant mountain village who were descended from the Christians of Ephesus. The house is called Panala Kapulu, Doorway to the Virgin. And I'm going to show you some of this. There's let's see, we got the site, the House of Virgin Mary. They got 3D. They show the house. Look at this. You know, they don't have it filled with water right now, but it seems to me that's pretty obviously a pool. You know, who in the 1st century has a pool? Yeah, apparently Mary did. This is the inside of the house. Pretty fancy, huh? And I can't even find any information to say that this house dates to the 1st century. You know, it seems to me pretty obvious that it does. You know, but you know you know, they say that scientific studies have been done of this, but that they can't determine with any certainty that that this is Mary's house, or, you know, even I can't find anything that says that this definitely dates to the 1st century. Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to show you. Show on the map, where is the House of Virgin Mary? See, that's Greece. This is where the house is. Turkey. Back up a little bit further. Italy, Greece, Turkey. Look, Jerusalem's all the way down here. And, let's go back to... Roman Empire, 69 AD. And you see, it would have been right there. Ephesus is definitely inside the Roman Empire. Yeah, which makes sense. Jesus, he's the son of the Roman emperor. He's the son of Herod. He's sending his apostles to various places in the Roman Empire. How do you send people in the Roman Empire, without being an agent of the Roman Empire? Yeah, Jerusalem, obviously, it was, part of the Roman Empire even before Jesus' birth. Let me scan through these links one more time. See if there's anything else I want to cover in this. Oh, here it is. Pigmentation of the early Roman emperors. And, this is speaking to Jesus being blonde. Let's see. Augustus, blonde-haired. Tiberius, gray blue-eyed. Caligula, golden-bearded. Claudius, gray white-haired. Nero, blonde-haired. Galba, gray white-haired. Let's see, gray blue-eyed, gray-eyed. Let's see, Vitellius, red-haired or red-headed, gray-eyed. Wine-colored eyes. I had to look up what wine-colored eyes might be, and the only eye color that I found that was considered a wine color is like a very light brown. Blonde hair, gray-haired. Trajan, Hadrian, Antonius Pius, Marcus Aurelius, Lucius Verus, blonde-haired, Commodus. And this guy's conclusion, as can clearly be seen from this, there was a predominance of fair characteristics among the Roman ruling class. Someplace else that I read this, let's see, of the 18 emperors from Augustus to Commodus, 9 had blonde or red hair, 5 had gray or white hair, 3 had no recorded hair color, and just 1, Hadrian, was referred to as dark-haired. Of the 18 emperors from Augustus to Commodus, 9 had blue or gray eyes, 2 had wine-colored eyes, whatever that may mean, and 7 had no recorded eye color. Another place that I read this, it said that the Roman Senate, that like nearly none of them were fair complected, that they were all dark complected, which is to say that the bloodline that was the emperors was entirely different than was the whole of Rome, than was all of Italy. That basically it's saying that they were being ruled by people from someplace else, the Romans, and that would make sense that they're all over in like Great Britain and Ireland, and that they controlled just the money powers of Rome. They controlled the money powers of Jerusalem. They controlled the money powers of wherever else it was that the Roman Empire extended. yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna leave that there.